Drake and Party Next Door. This thing dropped on February 14th. Classic Drake move. You know what I'm saying? Like, he makes a lot of, quotable music stuff that you want to put in that the shorties put in their Instagram captions and all that stuff. So, this is on brand for Drake. But in this episode, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Party Next Door, because if you watch the Cool Hand podcast, I don't think I ever uttered Party Next Door's name on this podcast before. So many people wouldn't know that I used to be a huge Party Next Door supporter. I know I don't like to call myself a fan because I'm not a fanatic for anyone. I don't listen to Party like I used to, but I still have an immense level of respect for Party Next Door. And I used to really listen to Party's music all the time. So let's talk about this real quick. This project was a long time in the making. Party Next Door has been the LeBron James of OVO since 2013. And when I say the LeBron James, I mean it. I'm not biting my tongue on that. I'm standing 10 toes down on that statement. And I'm going to explain why he is the LeBron James of OVO in a second here. So if you remember the self-titled project, Party Next Door, coming out in 2013, I loved that project from the beginning. Like, when he first dropped, he had the Drake cosign. He had he had all that, and he was like way more mysterious. Back in like 2013, he was just a mysterious young dude, made good melodic R&B, like the new wave R&B. But I was feeling Party Next Door's music from the jump. And I compare him to LeBron James because he came in as a rookie on OVO and really, in my opinion, carries the load over there at what they call the OVO sweatshop. When you want to talk about writing hits, doing features, so on and so forth, Party Next Door is like, carrying OVO on his back. So let's just talk about the history of Party Next Door real quick before we actually talk about the project and the pros and cons and highs and lows, ups and downs. So Party Next Door came in at a time where the Weeknd pretty much distanced himself, or there was a split from OVO, because the Weeknd had like the biggest push from Drake. I think anybody who remembers that time frame when House of Balloons came out, when Thursday came out, and then like Echoes of Silence, before there was a trilogy, there were the 3 separate mixtapes. House of Balloons went crazy, and Drake wasn't on House of Balloons. Drake was on Thursday, and he might have been on Echoes of Silence. But I'm making a statement, and I'm gonna stand on this. I know the Weeknd rather because of Drake. Drake was pushing the Weeknd's music heavy. And what ended up happening was, you would have assumed the Weeknd, as he continued to grow as an artist, as he's dropping these mixtapes, you would have thought he would have signed with OVO. It only made sense because Drake and the Weeknd were like Shaq and Kobe. They were like Jordan and Pippen. They made great music together. The Weeknd was on Drake's, this is what y'all like to call a classic album. He was on Take Care. And we're going to talk about Take Care in a minute and how important the Weeknd was in correlation with Drake's second album, Take Care. So in 2012, the Weeknd signed with Republic Records. And this came as a surprise to people like myself, because on the outside, you would have thought he signed or would have signed to OVO. Drake gave the Weeknd a huge look and likely would have made a lot of money off of him if he signed the Weeknd to the OVO imprint. The Weeknd then, after he signed to Republic Records in 2012, dropped Trilogy. Now, this, at the time, it didn't make a lot of sense to me because I'm like, you really just repackaged 3 mixtapes that already exist and you want to like put them together and drop it as an album. Now, at the time, this didn't make too much sense to me, but a simple Google search would have probably answered my questions at the time. I think I was just being like a pretentious music listener at that time. I had to be around like 19 or 20 when Trilogy dropped. which included, all three of the mixtapes, and then there were some bonus songs. But really, like, he signed to a major label. Now he signed to Republic Records. Why not take those mixtapes, turn it into an album, and cash out? The record label's going to cash out on it, definitely, and that'll probably help the Weeknd make good on his advance that you get from the record label. So after the Weeknd signed with Republic Records and not directly under Drake, it seemed like that's when the first little inklings of an OVO versus XO beef started, because like it really did come as a surprise. Like, once again, I talk about how I was using internet forums. Like, I was on a Kanye West forum, and I frequented like the Drake section. So I was always in tune with what was going on in hip hop, with music, with Kanye, with Drake. And it was just a surprise. Many people were like, oh, he signed with somebody other than Drake. It just made all the sense to sign with Drake at the time. In hindsight, the Weeknd made the best decision for himself. I can't fault him for going off and making his own lane and not signing with Drake. And to be quite frank, it was probably for the best, because I compare their situation, Drake and in the Weeknd situation, to LeBron and Kyrie Irving when they were both on the Cavs. So Kyrie Irving, if you're not a basketball head, Kyrie Irving was the first overall pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers after LeBron James left. So the team was pretty much Kyrie Irving's. Then LeBron James comes back. So when LeBron James is on your team, LeBron runs the team. LeBron is the team. That's what Drake is to OVO. Drake is LeBron. Meanwhile, Kyrie Irving, eventually they win a championship in Cleveland when LeBron James comes back. Kyrie Irving pretty much is like, I'm not nobody's little homie. And that's like to LeBron, like, I'm not going to be LeBron's little homie. Like, like, I'm my own man, and I run my own program. And he requested a trade, and Kyrie Irving eventually got traded to the Boston Celtics, and then his journey moves on from there. He's now on the Dallas Mavericks, but it was like Kyrie was an alpha, or Kyrie is an alpha, just like LeBron James is an alpha basketball player. He just couldn't be up under LeBron. Like, I'm not your little homie. I'm not going to do everything you want me to do. Whatever that situation was in Cleveland, he had to get out of there. And I think that was the situation with the Weeknd. He couldn't be under Drake as his little man's. And you see today in 2024, 2025, the Weeknd is one of the biggest artists in the world. Like, I feel like it's kind of crazy. Like, the Weeknd is always breaking like some sort of like streaming record. Like, it's weird. Like, a lot of people listen to the Weeknd, and I'm not surprised. He has a great voice. I don't listen to him anymore because he kind of went pop. I don't want to say like sold out, but like the Weeknd used to have this really dark music, which was the appeal. And he cashed out on his talents. Like, he kind of went poppy, and I don't know what he's doing now, but like, I don't really listen to him like that no more, but I still got love for the Weeknd. He is a great talent. Going back to Take Care and why it was important that, or why I don't blame the Weeknd for making his own lane, is because you can go back to Take Care, and the Weeknd was on, let's see, how many songs did the Weeknd help out with? So on Take Care, what you guys like to call a classic Drake album, the Weeknd worked on the songs Shot for Me, Crew Love, Camera/Good Ones Go Interlude, Practice, and The Ride. And you can even go back to a DJ Academics video from 2015, where 2015, mind you, 2015, 4 years after Take Care came out. And he did a whole video on, the Weeknd publicly saying that, he gave away half of his own album to Drake for Take Care. And when you listen to, and it's funny when you have that information revealed to you, because you can listen to something like Crew Love and the Weeknd was a feature, but all along I would guess Crew Love was his song. If you know what I'm saying, that sounds like The Weeknd all the way. And maybe like a verse was taken off, like one of the Weeknd's verses was taken off of the original version, and that's where you hear Drake coming in on Crew Love and things like that. Think about Shot for Me. Shot for Me sounds like The Weeknd all the way. I wouldn't be surprised if that was just an original Weeknd track written by The Weeknd. Drake heard it. The Weeknd's still on the come up. He's under the, the OVO, umbrella at the time. Not on paper, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna give Drake this song for his album because Drake's really feeling it. Woo woo woo. And that's how it goes. But it's interesting, when you peel back the curtain of what's really going on behind the scenes, who's creating songs, who's writing this, who's producing that, who's, getting inspiration from here or there, it becomes really obvious where, especially in Drake's music, where he got something from, right? The Weeknd goes off and he creates his own lane. I think if he stayed with OVO, he would have been a big artist still. I think he still would have been a big artist, but I'm not sure if he would have been bigger than Drake on some mainstream stuff. Like he has the talent, and it's apparent that he had the talent to surpass Drake in terms of international popularity. But I think Drake would have used him more as, not taking songs, but taking his songs, taking his ideas and using them for his own use. But I just think if he would have stayed with OVO or signed with OVO, his growth as an artist and as a creative likely would have been stunted.